Good evening and welcome to Bent TV. Tonight, Brenda Appleton visits Bent TV once again. Tonight, she explains the difference in terminology being used within the community and the positive effects being felt by changes in health funding. In Queer Idea tonight, Simon finds out about WorkingOUT, a Melbourne-free LGBTI employment service. And then we finish this evening with TeaTime with PapaLisa, with Lisa and her comic friends at their very best.
Good evening, welcome to Bent TV. I am Andy McNamara. Tonight I am speaking with Brenda Appleton, who is a transgender community elder, I think I would say. Welcome, Brenda. Transgender community elder, is that right? What's your view?
Good evening, Andy, and it's nice to be here. I guess I've been with the community for 20 years in Melbourne, so if that qualifies me as an elder, I'm certainly a senior, I'm happy to do so. But we as a community are now much more referring to ourselves as trans and gender diverse rather than transgender.
Right, because?
And this is because so many trans and gender diverse people are now identifying as non-binary. So they're saying they're neither male nor female.
Right.
They're born somewhere in between and they want to stay somewhere in between. Mm-hmm. And gender diverse is a more inclusive term for them than transgender. And it's interesting that in a survey 2 years ago from Blues to Rainbows, about 33% of the respondents, who were younger people, identified as non-binary. And in a Curtin University survey of trans mental health, which covered 946 people across Australia, so a very big survey, 25% identified as non-binary. So it's significant statistics now.
Wow, so there's been a lot of advancement in the general public learning a bit about trans the last few years, but non-binary, I guess, will be the next wave because there's not much knowledge or discussion about that at this point.
No, there's not. And I guess most of us don't fit comfortably into male or female, and therefore we work out what suits us best. And I've got many friends who have transitioned in the past, so perhaps born male or assigned male at birth, transitioned to live as a woman, and now deciding, because society's a little bit more accepting, that that's not quite right either, so moving back into middle ground.
Wow.
And I think it's great that people are comfortable to be themselves, whatever that might be.
Yep.
But it's got a huge downside, unfortunately. We estimate unemployment for trans people at about 20 to 25%, so it's a big number. But for gender diverse, anecdotally, it would appear unemployment is 40 to 50%.
Wow. And
employers are struggling to work out how they include someone who's gender diverse in their own workforce.
Wow. What can be done to fix this? I guess more discussion about gender diverse is the starting point? I
think so. We're seeing a massive increase in general community acceptance across society for trans and gender diverse people. And this is reflected, I think, in the numbers that are presenting at Royal Children's Hospital. And, you know, they're now getting at least 3 referrals a week.
Wow.
They used to get 1 a year.
Wow.
And this is families and individuals wanting to explore their gender identity.
Well, most teachers I know now have a trans kid at their primary school. Most friends of mine who are teachers. It's so much more out there than it was.
Oh, and it's got to be so much better for the mental health of a young person to be living as themselves rather than living what's expected based on their the sex assigned at birth. And I was just recently speaking at a seminar and a grandmother came up to me afterwards, and she was at this seminar up from Tasmania, and her granddaughter, who had been assigned male at birth, had started school as a girl in Tasmania at the start of this year. And it's just brilliant that people are able to be themselves in schools and fellow students. treat them appropriately.
Amazing. And grandparents are coming on board. What about things for teenagers like adolescence blockers? I'm not sure what the
Puberty blockers.
proper term is.
So puberty blockers ideally are given to young people at the start of puberty. And Royal Children's Hospital have found that 100% of young people are confirmed on their gender by the time they hit puberty. They haven't had any regrets or change of minds after that stage.
Right.
So puberty blockers are available, ideally taken at the start of puberty to prevent any of the developments which otherwise might take place. But those drugs are expensive. It's about $5,000 a year to maintain puberty blockers, and therefore, let's say there was 150 young people under the Royal Children's Hospital, you multiply that by $5,000 if they were all on puberty blockers at the same time, then it's a very big number.
So is it covered by the government?
So the government has recently announced extra funding for Royal Children's Hospital, which enables them to increase staff as well as cover the medication costs for those that are being treated. And their waiting lists have grown out to 14 months, and this will help bring those back down to a more normal level.
Wow, and I might just explain the point of these puberty blockers is so that trans people can delay their development in the gender they don't want, they don't align with, until they're old enough to make a decision as an adult to transition if that's the way they go.
Yes, so puberty blockers put the development of puberty on hold. And if the person then decided that in fact it wasn't appropriate to move to an affirmed gender and stay in their assigned sex at birth, then they can just come off the puberty blockers and then the normal puberty would continue. And the idea is that at a point in time, once they're sure that that's the right decision for themselves, that then they go on to cross-sex hormones, and then they in fact avoid having puberty for the gender that they don't want.
The development they don't need.
Yes.
Brenda, fantastic. That is interesting and informative. Great to chat to you. I'm Andy McNamara. I've been with Brenda Appleton. You're watching Bent TV.
Hi, you're with Bent TV. My name's Simon, and tonight I'm joined by 3 guests from an organisation called SensWide. There's Tristan, Mary and Rebecca. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, perhaps somebody could just start by telling us a little bit about SensWide, and we'll get to the reason why you're here on Bent TV as we progress.
Definitely. Thanks, Simon. So SensWide is an employment service that caters to individuals who would have a disability, injury, illness or a barrier to employment. Primarily, SensWide's been supporting participants who have been either deaf, hard of hearing or have a sensory loss. The parenting organisation, Victorian Deaf Society, have been supporting the deaf community for over 130 years. So SensWide was brought on board to help with, I suppose, providing support to that cohort.
So why on earth are you on Bent TV?
Very good question.
Well, we have a specialist employment service called WorkingOUT, and we cater to the LGBTI community, people who might also have other barriers to employment, so you don't need to just be a member of the LGBTI community. You can also have a mental illness, a physical disability. We service a lot of people living with HIV, and we're pretty popular amongst the trans and gender diverse community as well.
So you're all employment consultants working
Yes.
in this particular programme. Perhaps you can tell us a bit more about that.
I'm an employment consultant with SensWide. I've been there since March. I specialise more in the trans community, I guess, so I assist a lot of the trans and gender diverse clients. Yeah.
So the particular programme for the LGBTI community is WorkWise?
WorkingOUT.
WorkingOUT, sorry.
A little bit of play on words.
Tell us a bit more about how did that come about, the history, funding?
So we were successful with gaining a contract through federal funding in 2013. So we've been delivering WorkingOUT for just a little bit over 2 years now. So it's relatively young and it just is very popular at the moment, which is fantastic. Prior to that, there was a pilot program run for us to, I suppose, gather data and information because as an organisation we saw a need for employment services for the GLBTI community, and then we were successful with lodging a tender to have the contract, and we've got the contract for the next few years as well.
So we deliver services in Preston and Melbourne CBD, and we've got 5 consultants in our team, and we all identify as LGBTI, and we all have backgrounds in community services, mental health.
Makes sense. You're on Bent TV.
Yes.
So you mentioned some research that gave rise to the program. Can you tell some of the issues that presented that felt that you needed to respond to?
So we initially, I suppose, put a call out to the community looking for individuals who identified within the GLBTI community that may have been traditionally linked in with an employment service, and then I suppose being able to utilise a certain amount of people and provide that service so that we had, I suppose, relevant information and data so that we could take it to the federal government to be able to receive the contract for us to go forward. So we, as I said, SensWide Employment's been around for quite a while. So we already had the skills and the facilities to deliver the employment service program, but it was just, I suppose, being able to tailor it more to this specific cohort.
And what were some of the specific issues that we're coming up against, or people are coming up against, that you wanted to respond to?
I guess it was providing a service that was sensitive to issues that affect our community, and having an understanding and safe space, free from judgment, and just having someone there that gets it. So I think that was really important for us to deliver that sort of service, and there was a huge need for it within the trans and gender diverse community as well. There's a lot of horror stories of people receiving pretty terrible service at a mainstream provider, so to have this organisation and have a safe space for the community is really important.
So, Ruth, how many people do you see on a weekly basis?
I think over the last 12 months we've actually had about 120 registrations. Yeah, so we've picked up quite a bit of new business over the last 12 months.
Yeah, and the caseload's obviously divided between the 5 of us that are working on the team. And then I guess directed as almost like a matchmaking kind of service who they could best, I guess, help that person into employment.
Can you talk me briefly through the process? So if somebody presents, through the door, I guess, walking through the door or approaching through the website or whatever?
Yeah, definitely. So we would initially get some form of contact, whether that would be via email, phone, or walking in our door. And it would be a process of having a discussion and identifying, I suppose, the employment support that participant might need. We would then go through, I suppose, the process of what we would call a direct registration, so registering someone with us, and then from there we would allocate to an employment consultant, and then have a tailored service to that individual based on their needs and I suppose their transferable skills as to what type of work they're looking at getting into.
So I think it's really important to note that we utilise a person-centred approach, so there's not one size fits all for each participant, so you have to tailor your services for each person and focus on their strengths and work towards their employment goals together based on what their skills and strengths are.
120. How many have found jobs so far?
Yeah, so 56% of those are in employment at the moment.
Fantastic.
So, and
well done.
Yes, it's been really exciting for us to be able to do that. And at the moment we are supporting a number of people getting into work, but we tend to get about 10 inquiries a week as well. So it's kind of an ongoing rolling effect. When people first initially meet with us and then we provide that service, then they end up in employment. So.
And do you have to, I presume you have to work with employers to train them, make them more aware of some of the issues that
absolutely.
particular clients might be working through. Cool. Perhaps if somebody was watching tonight who might think this service could be of value to them, what should they do? Perhaps you could...
Probably give us a call. Or send an email through to info@senswide.com.au and just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get in touch.
And whereabouts are your offices?
We're in the city, just on the corner of Queen and Finlay's Lane. Yeah, and we're in High Street in Preston as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the website address?
SensWide.com.au.
Great. Well, I should thank you very much for coming along this evening. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
It sounds like you're doing a fantastic job. Please keep on doing it. Hopefully you'll get 100% employment record soon.
We'll get
So thank you very much, Rebecca,
Thank you.
Mary and Tristan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been watching Bent TV. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for staying with Bent TV. Please visit our website, Twitter, YouTube channel and Facebook to find the different ways you can support Bent TV, provide feedback and become involved in supporting Bent TV. Back after this break.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to Tea Time with PapaLisa. Friendship-destroying arguments and compelling conversation with my comedian mates. I have today, to my left, Daisy Berry. What's your favourite colour?
Orange, all the way. Love it.
Yeah, right. No, that's fair. And then we've got Jessie Ngaio, best friend Jessie Ngaio. What's your favourite colour?
Oh, well, I'm going to say puce. Just because it's great to say.
Enough.
Yeah.
And Matt Fennell.
Hi.
What's your favourite colour?
I love green.
Yeah,
Green's my
green's
favourite colour. Yeah.
Good.
Lady.
Jessie? Business or pleasure?
Oh, okay. Well, let's get down to business.
I'm a businessman of business. I appreciate that. I appreciate your candour.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love this as well, business.
We've all got into like
down to business.
stance. Okay, so I'm going to ask all of you, does being queer inform your comedy, Daisy Berry?
No. I mean, I talk about it in like relationships or lack of relationships, but yeah, I don't know. I think you should be able to talk about stuff other than being queer.
To remedy Daisy and my lack of relationships, please do tweet us.
Please.
Please.
Please, tweet us.
Tweet us. We've got angles. We're good people.
We're good.
You should never date a comedian except for
This
us.
one.
Both of these.
Just
Besides
both
that,
us.
just don't.
Don't. Seriously, don't.
Jesse.
I wouldn't.
You. Oh, and yeah, go on. They're not. Oh, most of them aren't good at sex. I wouldn't know. Jessie.
Yeah, I'd say absolutely. Not necessarily autobiographically, but being queer has sort of always informed my art and my comedy because it's sort of about ideas of deviance or feeling like an other or a sort of sexual outsider or just sort of puerile, lowbrow things that aren't socially acceptable always have compelled me, and I sort of tie that into my own feelings of not being particularly socially acceptable.
Yeah, because you're into weird shit like myself, so...
Yeah, like snails.
All right. If you haven't seen other episodes, we don't talk about snails on this show because it's my goddamn show.
Cut the snails.
Matt, what about you?
I think it's changed for me over the years because when I first started out, it was a big part of what I would do because because I'm a musical comedian, I'd be singing songs by girls and thinking it was all ironical and great. And I very quickly realised when I started working professionally that it doesn't cut the mustard. It's just not interesting anymore. So yeah, I still talk about my relationships and things like that now, but I think you have to have a little bit of time between a breakup and talking about it on stage because if you don't, it's just not funny.
It's just therapy.
That's
just
right.
like, oh, I've got issues, let's vomit them on stage.
And no one wants to hear about that. No one wants to pay to hear about that.
It's
Yeah,
sad.
you really don't want your audience feeling sorry
seen
for
too
you the
much of
whole
it.
time.
That's right, unless that's your brand. But I mean, that's not my brand, so, you know.
We've all had that night where we've seen been to an open mic comedy night or something and someone's just had a horrible breakup or a fight with their partner. It's like, hey guys, let's go through this for 5 to 7 minutes.
Hey, but your heart bleeds for them, and I know from having had that
Yeah.
experience, like, you do feel bad for them, but it's just something that I just don't want to be doing
And it's
anymore.
the longest 5 to 7 minutes ever.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
You don't think, like, it sounds like nothing 5 to 7, but when you're there, it's like, oh my God, it's
Why
an
are you doing
eternity.
this?
Yeah, and it becomes uncomfortable because you feel sorry for them. But a nasty part of you also just wants it to be over and then to leave.
Yeah, and no one laughs. Like, because when you're full of sympathy for someone, you're not gonna
That's
laugh.
not. There's
love
no
that you're
danger
That's not your
there.
natural response.
You're going full of sympathy. Jesse's like, oh, look, it's just good if they, you know.
Just get off.
Go
I
away.
just like to sweep them under the rug. There
You just
go.
want one of those old school canes and you just hook them, just like black
Alrighty.
and white style.
Segue time. Favourite snacks?
Ooh.
We're doing pleasure.
Pleasure.
Matt?
I am mad for a scone.
Oh God.
All right.
I'm mad for a scone that I bake myself.
Just like a straight up bareback scone, or is it got
no.
condiments?
Scone with a jam, like a preserve, from one of my friends.
Have you
This is
seen
the
the
gayest
movie
snack
Bareback
ever.
Scone?
Pardon?
Have you seen the movie Bareback Scone?
I have not.
Okay.
Where do I-
Bareback
It
scone.
might not exist yet.
Maybe I should shoot it. Maybe
You should make it.
We should. We'll get into talks.
Just sex baking.
Yeah.
Is that
Ooh.
baking? I don't know. I don't bake. This feels
That's
like
called
baking.
Bake-esque.
mixing.
Is that baking or is that fisting?
Yeah, no, that's. Come on. All right, let's keep it gentleman. Yeah.
I've learned something new. That's good.
Just a bit of fisting.
He'll be better at fisting now.
Yeah. That's not the way to.
All right,
Yes.
next.
I'm going to give you some links to some classes. So you love a scone with some preserves?
Yeah.
Straight up jam
about.
or like a bit of marmalade?
Marmalade, not so much, but a jam, definitely.
All right.
Yeah. Cream, obviously.
Get on top. Jessie?
Oh, I love me a powdered milk biscuit.
What's a powdered...
How old are you?
How is that? What is that?
It is literally what it sounds like it is. It's a thing that I grew up having when I was a kid, and
In New
originally
Zealand?
as far as I
That
understand...
explains so much.
Yeah, I'm sorry guys, we have to go there. I'm from New Zealand and I grew up eating powdered milk biscuits. They were originally designed as a ration for people in the war.
gosh.
And they were literally just a square of compacted milk powder and they're banana, vanilla or chocolate flavour. But the chocolate flavour is kind of like this cardboard colour.
This is so depressing. Like your snack is depressing.
Yeah, when
war
you
food.
bite into
Like,
them, they're
oh.
just powdered and then they get claggy and stick to the roof of the mouth. And I adore them. Nobody else I've given them to
Are
understand.
they still available?
Only in New Zealand.
Of course, yeah.
So people bring them
Australia
over
doesn't
for-
want them.
Mercifully.
We don't want
Daisy,
them.
what's yours?
Meringue. Does that count as a snack?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it
counts as
so much.
Just poverty. It counts as comedian
Yeah, I know,
food.
like I kind of reached this point in my life where I'm like, I'm not studying anymore. I have a full-time job, but I'm still just constantly eating meringue.
And you're judging me for my milk biscuit.
Hells yes, sister, I am.
The milk biscuit is disgusting.
Meringue doesn't stick to the roof of my mouth, okay? I can
milk
swallow
biscuit.
after eating it.
It's a milky treat. It's a little milky treat for me. It's good
dust.
for my
But the milk's
bones.
happening from
It's
your
not
saliva.
A milky treat.
God.
Oh.
God.
Uh-oh.
All right, enjoy your milk. Enjoy your milk biscuit.
Nah.
Oh. All right. This has been Tea Time with PapaLisa, guys. We've had guests, best friend Jessie Ngaio and Matt Fennell. Thank you for watching. And see you soon.
That's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for watching. My name is Gavin Henderson. Please visit our website, YouTube channel, Facebook to keep in contact and support Bent TV.